William Ury and Roger Fisher are the founders of the Harvard Negotiation Project. Together, they wrote a book titled Getting to Yes, and after reading it, I want to share some of the key lessons. Negotiation isn't about splitting things 50-50 or insisting on my way or your way. It's definitely not about winning or losing. In fact, if you're asking who's winning, you've already lost. So, what is negotiation really about? Let me share a few examples to illustrate. Imagine two men arguing in a library. One wants the window open for fresh air, and the other wants it closed to avoid papers flying around. So, what's the solution? Should they leave it half open, partly closed, or something else? The librarian listens to both and then opens a window in a different room. Fresh air comes in without disturbing the papers. Both are satisfied. Another example: two people want to share a cake but can't agree on how to divide it fairly. No matter how you cut it, someone will think the other got the bigger slice. The solution? You let one person cut the cake and the other choose first. Knowing this, the one cutting will divide it as evenly as possible to avoid getting the smaller piece. One final example. Two kids argue over an orange. A parent steps in, cuts it in half, and gives each child a piece. One eats the fruit and throws away the peel, while the other uses the peel for baking and discards the fruit. If the parent had asked why each child wanted the orange, they could have each received 100% of what they wanted, instead of just 50%. These examples show that negotiation is about finding a solution that makes both sides happy, without harming the relationship. But how do you achieve this? Let's break it down into 4 steps. Step 1. Focus on interests, not positions. Remember the library example? The two men focused on their positions, open versus closed, without considering the underlying interests, fresh air and avoiding wind. Instead of arguing over positions, shift your attention to interests. Though positions are often clear, interests may be hidden or vague. So how do you uncover them? Simply ask, why? Once you understand their real concerns, talk about them openly. People listen better when they feel understood. If you show that you care about their interests, they're more likely to consider yours. Also, be sure to clearly communicate your own interests. The other side might not know them unless you express them. And once you've identified everyone's interests, ask yourself, if they agree with me, what exactly do I want them to do? Step 2. Use fair standards. Even when you understand each other's interests, conflicts still arise. For example, you may want lower rent while your landlord wants a higher rate. Rather than arguing, use objective criteria to decide. Think back to the cake-cutting example. Having one person cut and the other choose is a fair, unbiased method. Fair standards can include things like market prices, legal requirements, or expert opinions. These impartial rules help shift the focus from personal preferences to agreed-upon criteria. For example, if you and a contractor disagree about how deep a foundation should be, don't just compromise. Instead, say, let's check the government's guidelines for this kind of soil. Before starting any negotiation, agree on some fair standards with the other side. If you want a high price and they want a low one, say, let's figure out what a fair price is and what standards we should use. Step 3. Invent options for mutual gain. Remember the kids in the orange? Instead of splitting it 50-50, they could have both gotten exactly what they wanted. This example highlights the power of finding creative solutions. How do you come up with these ideas? Start by brainstorming with either your side or the other side. Don't judge any ideas in the initial stage. Just let them flow. Once you have a list, pick the most promising options and work to improve them. Often, people assume differences in negotiations are problems, but in reality, those differences can lead to better solutions. The kids' differing needs for the fruit and the peel in the orange example created an opportunity for both to get 100% of what they wanted. Step 4. Separate people from the problem. In any negotiation, remember to separate the person from the problem. People have emotions, viewpoints, and egos that can easily get in the way. Your goal is to be soft on the person but hard on the problem. Compliment the other side when you can, and appreciate their effort throughout the process. ask yourself, am I paying enough attention to the people aspect of this negotiation? Miscommunication, frustration, and misinterpretation can derail progress if not addressed. Building a relationship with the other side before the negotiation begins can make a huge difference. Negotiating with someone you know is far easier than with a stranger. Arrive early to chat and stay a bit afterward to connect on a personal level. Studies show that knowing the other side increases the success rate of negotiations by 25 to 30%. Handling difficult situations. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds good, but what if the other side isn't playing fair? What if they use dirty tactics, have more power, or attack me personally? Here's how to handle these challenges. Dirty tactics. Call out the behavior calmly. If someone is playing good cop, bad cop, say, "It seems like you two are using that tactic. If you need to get on the same page, just let me know." Often, simply naming the tactic disarms it. Power imbalance. If the other side holds more power, develop your BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. This means knowing what your alternatives are if the deal doesn't work out. If you have another job offer, you walk into the salary negotiation with confidence. The stronger your BATNA, the more power you have. Personal attacks. When the other side attacks you personally, don't retaliate. Use negotiation jujitsu by sidestepping their attacks. Ask why they want what they're asking for. Invite their criticism and keep the focus on finding a solution. I'd like to end with a story that perfectly illustrates what negotiation really is. In 1964, an American father and his 12-year-old son were playing frisbee in Hyde Park, London. A crowd gathered, fascinated by this strange flying disc. After 15 minutes, a man approached and asked, "Sorry to bother you. Who's winning?" In negotiation, asking who's winning is like asking that in a marriage. If you're focused on winning, you've missed the point. The real goal is to work together to find a solution that satisfies both sides' interests. Thanks for watching. I hope these insights help you in your next negotiation.